Okay, here we have hardly ever and almost always. Almost always is easier to understand. It's not always, but almost. A lot of the time, most of the time, the majority of the time, but not 100%. Almost always. Now, hardly ever is a bit more difficult. It means almost never. So not never, but almost. So you can say almost never, but we often say hardly ever. Now, hardly means that you cannot do something. It's almost impossible. I can hardly hear you. It's like I almost can't hear you. I can barely hear you. I can hardly hear you. Or I can hardly see you. Where are you? I can hardly see you. It's almost impossible to see you. I can see you, but just. So yeah, hardly ever is just another way of saying almost never. Other examples of hardly are, you have hardly done anything. Why have you hardly done any work? You've done a tiny amount. You should have done more. You've hardly done anything. Or he could hardly finish his food. There was too much food. He could hardly finish. So almost always and hardly ever. Right? Back to the interview.